Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Fallout 76 running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. Now the game is currently running at 1080p with the lowest in-game graphics settings, and here you can see that the game is really not performing well at all. We're barely able to sustain a slightly below 30 FPS average. I mean, a FPS average of 28 is not exactly incredible, and 1% lows of 20, while not too bad in terms of how far it deviates from the average, it's still pretty significant because we're at such low FPS that those few FPSs actually make a noticeable difference. So it's not exactly going to be very playable. I'm sure there are people out there that would tough it out like this, and I mean, more power to you, but you can get some noticeably higher performance if you just drop the resolution down to like 900p or 720p. Realistically, 720p is the one that's going to actually net you a noticeable improvement, just because the performance in this game right now is just pretty bad on this chip. Here you see at 720p we're actually able to get a better FPS average. Now we're in the mid 40s, but the 1% lows aren't exactly incredible. We're not even hitting a 30 FPS average there. It's really struggling to stay above the mid 20s, so it's not great. Though if you look at the frame times, overall it's not too bad, but you will have these consistent spikes that happen that make the experience not exactly the greatest, and this is at the stock 15-watt TDP with 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you can see the performance we're getting here is just not really that great, but it's playable. You can definitely get away with playing like this, especially if you look at this as more of a single player game. You're gonna be fine. It's not going to be super terrible, but it's just not going to be an amazing experience, and you could have a better time playing a better Fallout game like Fallout New Vegas. But I understand if you just have that Fallout itch and you want some new content, I guess you could just jump on here, and it is at least playable like this. Of course, we can raise the TDP and we can look and see if that nets us any performance increase that would maybe make the experience here any better. Now with a 25-watt TDP, we pretty much see no noticeable performance uplift at 1080p. The 25-watt TDP is really just not doing much of anything here. It's really just bordering on the edge of playability. If those 1% lows were better, maybe, but even the fact that we're not even hitting a 30 FPS average is really just pushing what you would consider playable here. I know there's a lot of people out there that actually play a lot of games like this, and again, more power to you, but I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that would not consider this playable. So the TDP increase was really not enough to save the 1080p resolution, but let's see what it does for 720p. At 720p with the 25-watt TDP, we see at least a uplift here where the 1% lows aren't dipping below 30 FPS. Though it's not an incredible uplift, we are now closer to 60 FPS. Overall, it's a pretty welcome uplift. I mean, it pretty much levels out the experience. You'll see that the frame times, while still having a occasional spike here and there, it's not going to be anything that is as noticeable as where we were at the 15-watt TDP. So it really seems like the 25-watt TDP does make a difference in terms of leveling out the overall experience here. Though if you're at the 15-watt TDP and you can't really go past that because your hardware is just going to cook itself, obviously don't risk your system for this. It was still playable at the 15-watt TDP at 720p. This just overall makes the experience a bit smoother, and I think it's going to be a welcome uplift if you can actually achieve it. But again, don't sacrifice your system for it. It's really not that worth it. But anyways, I appreciate you watching. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I'm kind of just blown away at just how close we are. We're pretty much within reach, so I'm just blown away by this, guys. So I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for supporting the channel, and I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.